All right, here we go. Snapback with T-Mac post game. Man, that game there was let's just say something to watch. The ups and downs. The Tigers did not play their best football against a South Carolina team that they may be on the rise a little bit, but not one of the top teams in the country. Definitely not ranked, and the Tigers have a long way to go. I'll go over the stats real quick, and then we'll get into some questions and kind of talk about that game. We'll look at third down efficiency. The Tigers were 6 of 14. Um, South Carolina was 3 of 12. So we won that battle right there. Passing yards or passes, Nussmeier was 24 for 40 for 285. On the other side, they were 11 for 20 for 155. I think when you look at it in this ball game and you look at this one stat line, the rushing is what tells the tale of this football game. LSU had 32 attempts for 132 yards, but South Carolina had 41 rushing attempts for 243 yards. The big play is what hurt us in this game. And we'll keep going down a few more. There was a lot of penalties in this game, and if you take that out, I know that's a part of the game, but the touchdown, or I'm sorry, the pick six that Nuss threw there in that fourth quarter, because one of their defensive ends made a selfish move and tried to go take Nussmeier's head off. But if he doesn't do that, that's a pick six, and the outcome of this game is completely different. So there's a lot of areas to where it looks like we're not on the same page and we're not hitting on all cylinders. But LSU was penalized 9 times for 75 yards. Look at this number right here. South Carolina was penalized 13 times for 123 yards. That's a lot of penalty yardage right there, and that was the only reason that LSU stayed in this ball game. Now, a few of those were, pass interference. We had good throws down the field, and they were defensive PIs. But I tell you, when it came to crunch time, we needed the guys that we knew we were going to need to get it done. Nussmeier connects with Kyron Lacy down the left side on LSU's sideline for a big catch. He got both feet in and was hit once he got out of bounds. That was a play that gave us the opportunity to win this ball game, and also that was a free play. That was one where we hurried up, we didn't get it on third down. Nuss gets him back out. You can see him tell everybody, "Let's go, let's go, let's go." Gets him up, goes with the 2 claps, gets him on the first clap, gets him to jump off sides. So it gives him the ability to be able to throw that ball up there and not have any repercussions. And Lacy comes down with it. So the rushing game. The we did get with Durham. He's a guy that you can see is going to get more touches as this thing goes for the Tigers. The amount of tackles he broke, the yak that he got, the yards after contact. He's a guy that has earned the right to get more touches. So it'll be interesting to see how they build him into the game plan going on, because I can promise you we're going to need him. We got 2 games, UCLA, then another Patsy, and then the Lane train's coming into town. So we have a lot of things we have to get fixed before Ole Miss comes into town with the energy. The good thing it's going to be at home, but we have some time to get those things fixed. Some of the things I think we need to get fixed, or I know we need to get fixed, is tackling. We missed a lot of tackles tonight. We had guys for negative yard plays. We had South Carolina negative yard situations, or we were going to stop them for a short gain, and they break tackles and turn them into big plays. We got to get better up front. The offensive line right now, there's a lot of hype and around this offensive line, which I still think, this unit is a really good group. But we got to start playing together. We had few penalties. And then you're playing in a hostile environment. It is loud, but you got to deal with it. You can't have that many false starts and put your team behind the sticks. It's just, good football teams don't do that. You learn to deal with the crowd noise, and you find a way to not make it a factor in the game. Um, I'll tell you, Swinson had an unbelievable game. I'd like to go back and look at his stats and see what he did today. But he was all over the quarterback. He was around the ball. He had some big impact plays, and it was great to see that guy go. Whit Weeks, I believe, led the team in tackles. He had 6 tackles and one assist. That's just thinking back over those stats. Witt also did have a play where, they went motion. He came down too far. He was supposed to set that edge and gave up a big run, one of their big runs. So there's definitely areas that we can grow and we can get better. Luckily, we came out on top of this one. So we'll see where we go from here. We got a lot of areas. David Corsi is saying, Durham is him. I agree with you. The guy has earned the opportunity to get more touches. He's shown that his elusiveness, his center of gravity, the way he cuts and shifts, the way he's able to get through arm tackles. He's definitely a guy that they need to keep giving opportunities. And the good thing is he's a freshman. So if that guy is that good and he can stay healthy and keep building, you look at this guy in 2 years, we're going to have something pretty special back there at running back. Ben is saying the running game has a ton of potential, and Durham running behind that line, Tigers need to commit to it. One thing I want to talk about, and, this is just me watching the game as a fan, but with a little experience, I think there's times, and I talked about this before, we're too predictable. You get in that shotgun, you get the back to a certain side, we have to get some semblance of an outside rushing game. Everything we do right now is between the tackles, and until Durham got in there, we weren't having success. The reason we had success with him because he was able to break some tackles, but we have to do something to stretch the defense. You take away what Jaden Daniels could do for us last year on the perimeter, we have to get some type of perimeter running game. Nussmeier's not going to be that guy. You got to put something in the package to get him out there some, but we need to do something, if it's speed sweeps, if it's tosses, quick pitches, anything to make that defense, think that they have to cover the field from sideline to sideline. They can't just come downhill. So that's something that's a must that we have to get in this game plan. You get in the SEC play and you don't have anything of an outside or a perimeter running game, SEC defenses are going to make you pay, and it's not going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. Heidi, you got a question over there? Yeah, and, somebody's asking to talk about the awful pass protection. There's a lot of things that goes into this. You see a pass protection breakdown, and everybody automatically assumes that it's the offensive line, that it's the center, the 2 guards, and the 2 tackles. Pass protection is so much more than those 5 guys. It starts there, but there's so many areas. The running backs are involved, which we had breakdowns early in this game. The 5 guys up front were doing their job. We weren't on the same page with blitz pickup. So the running back had 2 missed assignments, but everybody says, oh, it's the offensive line that's terrible. Running back, that was just 2 situations. Tight ends are involved. Also, you have quarterbacks and you have wide receivers with hot reads that get involved. And if the quarterback doesn't get the ball out on time and the receiver doesn't break his route off at the right time, or he's not in the right spot, then you get pressure, you get sacks, and then the offensive line gets blamed for those pressures. So anytime people see pressure, they automatically assume that's the offensive line's fault. The one area this group is really good in my opinion, is protecting the quarterback, pass protection. I think we need to get better in our run blocking, leaning on guys, just keep pushing and not playing on the edge of guys, play down the middle of them, keep pushing the pile, and then we're going to spring those backs. So the person had a question about backfield pickups, and I guess they're talking about the running back. That's an area we got to get better. You got a lot of guys that they're rolling in at that running back position. And you got to make sure when you put a back out there that he's comfortable with blitz pickup. If not, if there's not a guy, and I think that's why you don't see Caleb Jackson more on third down, because they're not comfortable with him picking up blitz. But we have guys that we're putting in there that have to know the blitz pickup. And I tell you, it's not easy, you know, and you get in a hostile environment like South Carolina, it was loud. You could see the crowd was definitely a factor there. Everything just seems to be happening so fast. So that's an area we got to get better at. And that's something that constantly grows. You start to build a chemistry when you get guys that build more of a they learn what each other are doing. So that's an area that we can get better. Brett Massengale, why aren't you on the road to Scott, Louisiana? See, what had happened was my I don't know, my internet's going bad. I'm right here, bro. I'm right here. We're gonna watch it. The Broncos got to go get this win on the road into Acadiana, but the Tigers, you know, they messed it up. I had to be here. Ben's asking what you think Nuss was arguing on the bad snap. I think, and that brings up another thing. I'll answer your question, but I want to talk about something else. I think he was saying that they clapped or they were calling a snap on the other side. You know, we got called a couple times, and this is a rule that, you know, I don't understand. I'll tell you, as an offensive lineman, to have that defensive line shift that aggressive that late in the snap count, that's really hard. I don't think that's fair. And when you see teams do it to try to get them to jump, which it's a great strategy if they're not going to call it, but they're really cracking down on that. If you think, you know, as an offensive line, you're waiting for that quarterback to call that cadence or to hear the last sound of that hut or whatever your cadence is, and you got to hair a trigger. And then something happens like that, it's really hard to sit in there. I don't like the late shifts by defenses, but I see why they do it. We got to get that fixed. If we're going to do it with all the motions and everything with our hands, I guess they keep calling it because we're too animated with our shifts, then it's going to hurt us. But if we can do those shifts and stay within the rules, that's something that, you know, it definitely makes it hard on an offensive line. So a lot of areas we need to clean up. See a lot of bright spots, a lot of areas we can build on. It's so much easier when you come away with the win, and then you're not sitting here talking about it after a loss. But you know, like I said, that defensive end on that pick six when Nuss and Kyron Lacy were on different pages. Nuss didn't see that safety that came down in the box and dropped back into coverage. He threw it up. It looked like he was just throwing it to nobody, but he didn't see that safety. But that defensive end for South Carolina, if he doesn't get that penalty, we're talking about we're sitting here going over the Tigers game with a loss, and this feels a whole lot better than losing to South Carolina. But sometimes some things get covered up. There's a lot of areas that we need to improve on. We're going to Lake Charles, Louisiana with this question. What was your favorite? This is Riley McClure. Don't know her, but we'll answer her question. What was your favorite and least favorite play to see this game? Favorite play. Yep, let me think about that. I guess the go-ahead touchdown when we scored to go ahead. That's always a good sign, and that was Williams running the ball straight up the gut and finally getting in the end zone. Least favorite play, seeing their quarterback break that big 75-yard run and nobody even close to him. That was my least favorite play at that point. I'm going to scroll through and see if we see any more questions. My co-host isn't here to give his insight. So, but going back at it, looking back at it, the Tigers get the win. We win by 3, and we were sitting there right there at the end when their field goal kicker's coming out. His career long was, I believe they put up 46-yarders. This was a 48-yarder. And BK called the timeout. Well, he went ahead and got the practice kick, and he missed it to the right. And I told Madden, I said, that was a mistake there. I said, this cat's going to see that kick that he just practiced on, and he's going to try to, get it to go to left and going to miss it left because you've seen it happen over and over. And I don't think he had enough leg on it anyway, but he missed that kick to the left. The Tigers win one that'll make you pull your hair out, one that'll make you question the heart of this football team, one that'll make you question the coaching of this football team. But the bottom line is getting an SEC win on the road in a hostile environment. You can't underestimate that. All right, so the Tigers get it done in Columbia, South Carolina, back on top. Got a lot to build on. Y'all follow us next week as we do a pregame and a halftime against UCLA. Snap back with T-Mac. We out.